Hello everyone and welcome back. In this video we are going to talk about child activity. So first thing to do, we do have to need to get our username and password that we are retrieving from our intent. To do that, I'll create my late init variables called username from string type and the password also from string type. And inside my init block from intent username, the password is going to be intent.get string extra as well password. So inside this activity we are going to have a foreground service that is going to be run all the time. So to create these classes, I'll move to my service package and create my RTC service class. The next class is going to be RTC service repository to interact with my service class, and the last one is going to be RTC broadcast receiver to receive the data from our RTC service class. So this one is going to be a singleton and Android entry point. This is going to extend from service class from Android app. You will implement the members, return null here, and this one is going to implement our main repository listener, so we will implement them as well. So let's go back to our broadcast receivers class. This one is going to extend from broadcast receiver and Android entry points and implement the member. So before I forget, I have to add them inside my manifest file as the service and receiver. Down here under my activity tags, I'll write a service. It's going to recognize my service class and also a receiver, and that's it. So let's go back to our service class and start writing our service code. So right here I do have to inject my main repository, so I'll write main repository and I'll override the onCreate method and use my init function and call it inside my onCreate method. So inside my init block, I'll set the listener to repository first, and then we are going to create a new object of surface view renderer, which is going to open our webcam inside a service and stream it to the parent. So to do that, I'll create a global variable of our surface view renderer. It's going to be null for now, and here you're going to initialize it. So surface view renderer is going to be just a new surface view, and as the context I'll just pass this to it. So to receive the commands that we are getting on this service class, we do have to override the onStart command function and onStart command function. And to interact with this function, I'll go back to my repository class and create a constructor which is going to be injectable this class. I'll just inject the context to this class, context, and I'll have two functions. The one of them is going to be start intent, which is going to take two arguments, username string and password string, and the next one is going to be stop intent without any argument. So we are going to create an intent called start intent. It's going to be a new intent. The context and the destination is going to be RTC service class.java. We will add some action to it. Start intent We'll add some extra stuff to it, some put extra. The name is going to be username, the value is going to be username, and the password, and then we will start this intent. So context start foreground service and pass intent to it. But we do have to check for the version, and if it's not above the version O, so we'll just start the service like that. And inside our stop service function, I'll create another intent like this. The action is going to be stop action or stop intent, and start them just like this one before. And go to child activity. Let's inject this repository here. RTC prod, nah, RTC service repository, just like that. And here we'll just start intent and give username and password to it, and finish affinity, which means finish the whole application and the back stack. So let's move back to our RTC service class and go back to our start command function, and we'll check if intent is not null. Then we will check the actions. Intent dot action is equal to start intent. We do have the start intent, and else if intent dot action is equal to stop intent, let me clear this return here and call start sticky, just like that. So very important part is here. First we want to check if our service is running or not. So to do that, I'll create a companion object, and I'll create a var is service running, and it's going to be false at the first place. So we'll check if it's not false, service running is not false. First we want to set it to true, and then we'll get our username from intent, username and the password, and then you'll check if username is not null and password is also not null. First we want to store our password inside our class, so private var username of type string is going to be null at the beginning, and here we are going to save a reference is equal to username. Okay, so after that we want to initialize our main repository just like that. Username, password, and surface view render. And after initializing our main repository, I want to run a function called start service with notification. But if it's an stop intent, I want to run a function called stop my service. So let's create this start service function. Inside this function, I do need a pending intent. So first I do have to create an intent to RTC broadcast receiver, and I'll add the action to it and put some extra of type string. The value is going to be type, and the name is going to be type, and the value is going to be exit. So let's create our pending intent, and using get broadcast class, I'll pass application context to it. Request code is 0. We'll give intent to it, and as the flag, I'll just flag immutable. So right here, I'll check if my build version.stk int is greater than build dot version codes dot o. Then I'll create a notification channel just like that. The ID is going to be channel 1, doesn't matter. The name is going to be foreground notif, and the importance is going to be notification manager. That importance high. I'll set some extra. Description is going to be no sound. Set sound to null. Vibration also to null. Enable lights false, and enable vibration also false. So right here I'll need my notification manager. I'll create it as a global variable, private val notification manager, and inside my init block I'll initialize it, get system service, and the name of it is going to be notification manager class.job. So right here and down here I'll create my notification channel using notification manager, create notification channel, and pass the notification channel to it. And after that we are going to need another pending intent whenever we click on our notification to open our application. So to do that I'll create another intent called notification intent. It's going to be an intent application context and main activity class.java, and the pending intent of it is going to be pending intent get activity, and the flag is going to be pending intent flag to this notification. So we're ready to create our notification right here. I'll create an icon using bitmap factory, code resource, and give the application context resources, and the icon is going to be IC launcher. I don't care for now. I'll create my notification up as a global variable just like that, and here I'll use notification, and it's going to be notification compat builder class. I'll pass context. The channel ID is going to be channel ID, the same as this one. Set default to 0. Set small icon to r.map IC launcher and some other stuff. And as the action, I'll add the action exit if I don't have it, because I haven't added the layout to it. So let's go and copy paste this layout. Notification item right here, nothing too shabby, it's just text you and a button. So the ID is going to be notif exit, which is going to be this button, and the text of it is going to be exit and the pending intent for this intent. So I'll set content intent to my notification pending intent. I'll just start my start foreground service using ID 1 and passing notification to it. Don't forget to write build to create your notification, or you can use this build right here. So I'm going to create a function called stop my service that will stop my service actually. So to do that, first we have to check if our boolean, which is containing the status of the service, is still running. So we'll check if it's still running. We'll set it to false, and after that, using my main repository, I'll call onDestroy method, and I'll stop foreground and say remove notification true and stop self, and then using notification manager I'll cancel all the notification that is running right now. So after handling start and stop foreground service, now it's time to handle the events that are coming from the WebSocket server. So to do that, I'll come back to this onNewMessage function, and using when statement and type of the data, I'll just use the data model type wrong sign in success, which is misspelled sign in success. The next one is user exists, and the last one is end call, and for the else we'll do nothing. So in this sign in success case, he will do nothing, and here check if the user exists, we want to stop our service. And in case of end call, I also want to use repository and restart RTC client. Okay, so let's try to run the app. Okay, we do have an error because I have forgot that inside my app model I have to say to install in singleton components. Let's run it again. And I do have another error. I have to provide my context here. Provides provides context. Inside it, I'm going to use the application context annotation and pass the context to the health. Okay, so we are good to go now. Our parent emulator is running. Let's run our child emulator. Okay, child emulator is also running. Let's sign our child. Let's say the username is going to be child and the password is going 1234. So let's log in. Let's allow our permissions. You can see our foreground service running perfectly. And as the parent, let's observe. So let's say our username to observe is going to be child and the password is going to be 1234. Let's start observing, and of course it's not working because I have forgot to run my WebSocket server. So let's start the WebSocket server real fast. So let's log our messages first inside our on message and then start our server using npm start. Okay, so our server is up and running. Let's run our applications again. It's running right now. So let me increase the size of terminal here. So let's log in as a child with child username and password of 1234. You can see it's a sign in, but we didn't get the password as the data here. So let me check that what's wrong here. And the reason of that is because I've mistyped the password inside my child activity. So let's rerun it and check our app again and also watch the terminal back. So let's log in as username child and password of 1234. And as you can see, our password is 1234 and username is child. So our child username is logged in right now. So let's go to the parent and observe our child. So as you can see, as soon as I press the parent login, a username which is going to be a random string signed in and it's ready to observe. So to observe our child, I'll write the username and password over. So you can see the start watching event is being sent to the username of child. So we do have an error here because our main repository is not listening for our RTC client's listener. So inside my init block of RTC clients right here, after init block, I'm going to set my listener to this class and let my main repository implement this listener. And whenever this RTC client is trying to send a message to WebSocket, we will use socket client to forward this message to WebSocket server, just like that. So let's rerun our app and check our app again. So let's log in using child. We also do want to look at our server line and observe. Let's write username as and password of the child. Press observe. You can see the session description and ICE candidates are being generated and being delivered to each other. But right now we are not doing so much, just starting our call. Like this button is not working, or switch camera is not working, or when we start a call we have to disable this button. So to do that, let's go back to our Android Studio and go back to parent activity. And so whenever a new stream is added, we want to run our UI thread and disable all edit texts. Say child username is enabled to false, child password, observe button, and switch camera is enabled to true. And to fix our child service exit button, we do have to go to our broadcast receiver and write some. First we want to inject our repository here, the service repository of course, and inside here we want to check if our intent that action is equal to action exit. Then we want to use our repository to stop our service, just like that. And one more thing, whenever our child service running, we click here, we don't want to go back here, so we will check if our service is running. We will finish the application. So let's go back to our main activity, and after this button listener we want to check RTC service is running. We want to finish Affinity. So let's check all the changes that we have made. Let's log back our child and start observing as the parents. So we can see the media stream is being added and disable this observe button. So let's switch the camera. As you can see, this camera is actually the back camera. You can switch using Alt and the WSD, Q and E buttons on the keyboard. So everything is working. So let's check our main activity. Whenever we open it, you can see the app is getting closed. But if we exit our service, we can start our application again. So everything starts again. So let's test it again. Everything is working amazing. So that's it for this video. Until the next video, see you guys.